They might seem cute, helpless, and charmingly innocent. Or they can look fierce, weird, and downright creepy. In the world of extreme animals, meet the babies. This time on the countdown, family life is full of ups and downs. Getting on with your siblings can be murder. And being little sucks when you're the punch bag. Life's a struggle for every baby. But for these extreme animal babies, growing up is a real battle. So buckle up to find the top 10 fiercest family fighters in this killer countdown of animal infants. Chile's dramatic coastline is home to our first fighting family. No, not these Humboldt penguins, but the colony of South American sea lions, giving this little guy a hard time on the way home. August through December is mating season. And this can be a mean crowd. Sea lions don't believe in monogamy. Full-grown males tower over females half their size. And Big Daddy takes full advantage of his superior strength to collect himself a harem of up to 18 baby mothers. But he sure isn't interested in the babies. Females are ready to mate within a week after giving birth, which doesn't seem the best timing for their nearly helpless offspring. At any moment, 300 kilograms of testosterone-fueled bull can come charging through your nursery. And if you're in the way of mum's new partner, you're sea lion pate. As if being in constant danger of being trampled by their stepdad isn't bad enough, wait till mum heads back out to sea, leaving Junior to the tender mercies of the extended family. The mothers haven't eaten since giving birth several days ago, and they could be away for several hours, or as long as 3 days. For the pups left behind, keeping a low profile is the safest option. These dewy-eyed innocents are at the mercy of their older brothers and cousins, and any other adolescent males hanging around the breeding ground. The supersized alpha males never take their eyes off their breeding females, which leaves a lot of restless younger males looking for trouble. And wandering out of the colony in search of mum is a seriously bad idea. These are the lawless Badlands, and these bandits have no compunction picking on someone not their own size. This pup finds sanctuary in the nick of time. The older male couldn't care less about the pup. He's just defending his space. So straying outside the colony is dangerous, but even sticking with the group is no guarantee you won't be used as a frisbee. And it's hard to keep mum when you don't know where mum's gone. Up to half of sea lion pups don't make it to adulthood. And someone should tell this little chap not to draw attention to itself. Too late. Ooh, that's gotta knock your confidence. But this feisty infant wants to give as much as it gets. This furious fighter is going to fit right into this extended family. Further south is the coldest place on Earth. It takes a special kind of animal to live in Antarctica. Meet the Adelie penguin. Every October, Adelies arrive here in their thousands to breed in the tiny window of the Antarctic summer. Creatures of habit, many return to the same nesting spot and hook up with the same partner every year. which means trouble if someone else gets in there first. A latecomer has no compunction telling a usurper where to get off. It might not look the coziest nursery, but their nest building is a challenge with no vegetation to speak of. So stones are hot property round here. Dad's entrusted with first watch of the newly laid eggs, while Mum races back to sea for her first feed in about a month. Hungry skuas are a constant danger, watching from the outskirts of the colony. Left alone, some dads are more reliable than others, and it only takes a moment's distraction for an egg to go walkabout, which means it's toast. The beady-eyed skuas never miss a trick. And despite best intentions, the offspring ends up scrambled. Chicks with less clumsy parents have to grow up fast. These fluff balls have to transform into waterproof torpedoes in less than 8 weeks. Or they'll be left behind when the whole colony up sticks and returns to the sea for the winter. At 3 weeks, the chicks are big enough to join a crash, hanging out with other youngsters, while Mum and Dad are off bringing home the bacon, or in this case, the krill. Going in a gang is the best protection against lurking leopard seals. But no one likes to be last to put their toe in the water. Leaving kids to entertain themselves is always a risky business. Those predatory skuas are the main reason Adelie chicks don't make it to adulthood. And while playing in a gang is safer, you've got to hold your nerve. Babysitters 1, skua 0. There's safety in numbers. But living in close proximity does have its disadvantages, which could explain why stranger danger isn't the only threat to Adelie chicks. Aggressive colonists don't take kindly to crash chicks wandering into adult space. These beatings by the neighbors can be serious. Chicks can be injured, or worse. Actually, this little guy is just fledging. He'll be fine. So you'd think everything would be rosy when Mum or Dad finally gets home. Think again. Adelie parents like to torment their chicks by bringing back lunch and then running away with it. The siblings have to race each other for their meal, chasing the fleeing parent until one chick gives up. The loser will get fed if there's enough food. It seems this tactic allows the parent to make sure it's feeding its own chicks, as hangers-on soon give up, and to feed each chick in peace. Only 5 of Indonesia's 17,500 islands are home to these fearsome creatures. But on their home territory, it's pretty hard to miss the world's largest living lizard, the Komodo dragon. Dragons are top of the food chain here and can reach up to 3 meters in length. The larger males can weigh up to 80 kilograms. And don't hesitate to throw that weight around when competing with the lads over a potential date. But all of them start life as an egg. And after around 8 months in the underground nest, it's getting a little cramped for the now fully formed baby dragon. This little guy is in no hurry to let go of its security blanket. Female Komodo dragons go to great lengths to protect their eggs, even building false nest holes to put egg-stealing predators like wild pigs off the scent. She'll hang around, guarding the nest for up to 8 or 9 months. But Junior is wise to be cautious. Komodo dragons will eat virtually any creature they can get their shark-like teeth into, and that includes their own hatchlings. Yeah, best stay in there. Size doesn't matter to a dragon. They'll tackle anything that moves. Venomous glands between their razor-sharp teeth make dragon spit a potent toxin that can turn buffalo into buffet. But with some meals, like this takeaway turtle, it's the packaging that's the problem. Their lack of discernment in dining means that the biggest threat to baby Komodo dragons is the adults. And that includes Mum and Dad. So in spite of all her efforts to keep the eggs safe, if Mum claps eyes on her newly hatched offspring, all she sees is a snack between meals. This is one occasion when you don't want the proud parents watching your first hesitant steps into the outside world. In fact, adult Komodo dragons are so dangerous to their young that the only safe place is up a tree. This toddler will be playing Tarzan in the treetops for the next 3 or 4 years, until it's big enough to venture into adult company without being on the menu. These blind and almost bald newborns are still at the pink and wrinkly stage, and you'd think only a parent could love them. Except this meerkat babysitter could just as well be an aunt or an uncle or older sibling. Meerkats are the poster boys and girls for family cooperation. Living in burrows in southern African deserts in groups of up to 40. Most of the clan will be siblings or offspring of the dominant female, which means an endless supply of babysitters for the matriarch's pups. One or more of the clan is always stuck looking after the pups while the rest are out foraging. Now they've grown a bit more fur, the babies are pretty hard to resist. So meerkat life is full of collaboration and harmony. And fighting. From tiny tots to teenagers and beyond, meerkat babies expend a lot of energy play fighting. Wrestling is fun, and playing together like this is a sign of a healthy community. It might also help to reinforce the social bonds that keep meerkat society functioning. The desert may be home, but it's a rough neighborhood to hang out in. So much so that less than half these kids are likely to make it through their first year. Threats from above are closely monitored, and there's only one thing to do when a hawk's about. Run! But ground-level predators are a different matter. This puff adder is venomous enough to kill a human. And while this one is chugging down a small rodent, it wouldn't turn its nose up at a baby meerkat or two given the chance. So a snake on the patch is a call to arms for the mob. Adult meerkats are resistant to its poison, but a bite can still do damage. So speedy reactions are key to persuading this sneaky predator to find its dinner elsewhere. All for one and one for all. And the babies are there on the front line, bobbing up and down with the best of them. The timing could use some work. This adder decides a low profile is the best option. And for today, the family can relax. The supersized tail that gives long-tail macaques their name comes in handy for childcare. Which is just as well, as like all babies, being curious about your world can lead to trouble. But macaque mums take great care of their babies. Macaques live in extended family groups where females gang together. Babies grow up surrounded by attentive aunts, sisters, and cousins who are all intensely interested in any new family member. Sometimes too interested. An over-enthusiastic babysitter can start a tug-of-war and might even kidnap the hapless youngster given the chance. The strict hierarchy of macaque society means that higher caste females have no problem telling an overzealous nanny where to get off. But lower caste females just have to suck it up if a dominant female decides to assert her position by punching Junior in the face. Not surprisingly, babies born to macaque aristocracy have a better survival rate than their lower caste cousins. But there are other hazards to contend with. The outskirts of human habitation aren't the most salubrious habitat. But a rubbish dump can be a rich source of food if you're not too fussed about the view. And why pick your own bananas when someone else can do it for you? A busy road provides some of the best foraging and a different world to explore, with always plenty of toys for the kids. But it's not just the traffic that makes it a dangerous playground. And little monkeys don't exactly get the best lessons in road safety from the adults. The perks of rank make no difference in a contest with a car. And some babies will never get a second chance to learn the road code. The ring-tailed lemur struts its stuff to the east of Africa, one of the many species unique to the world's fourth largest island, Madagascar. Like the macaques, lemur society is run by the females, but with these primates, everyone goes gooey over babies. When Junior pipes up, "Can you carry me?" it could be Dad or even an unrelated male who takes a turn, leaving Mum free to hang out with the girls. A break from foraging in the middle of the day means playtime. And after playtime, it's bath time. It may be all sweetness and light within the immediate family group. After all, this is an animal that has perfected the stare as its first line of intimidation. But when the neighbors encroach too far on the food supply, lemurs prepare for battle. You might think the sensible thing would be to leave the babies safely out of harm's way with a minder or two. But no. It's the females that face off, and they take their babies with them. The infants have to hold on for their lives, literally. If these little rodeo riders fall off in the middle of a fight, they're almost certainly toast. Under this peaceful-looking surface lurks the next countdown contender. And it's Mum. Easily tipping the scales at up to 45 kilos at birth, a baby hippopotamus is going to grow up to be a world heavyweight. Only elephants and rhinos come in larger sizes on land. But hippos are drawn to the water. A cooling dip can be all very well for Mum, but it's a bit trickier when you're small. Fortunately, being born underwater means hippos are experts at holding their breath. Infants can stay submerged for about 2 minutes. Adult hippos manage at least 5. Which still isn't a patch on their closest living cousins, the whales.
I don't know anybody quite like me. Nobody's so good at being so lazy.
Hippos haven't gone as far as living in water, but they do spend most of their days lounging in it.
I don't know anybody quite like me.
For a vegetarian, they sport an impressive set of canines. They're one of the most dangerous animals in Africa. But their terrifying teeth are mainly used on each other. The male's canines can reach half a meter in length. And jaw-to-jaw contests settle territorial disputes. Adult males can be a serious danger to infants. So it's smart to keep close to Mum. Even if she won't wait for your little legs to keep up. And it's never too soon to practice mouthing off. Play fighting helps develop the moves the youngster will need as an adult. And with no serious teeth to speak of yet, no one's going to get hurt. Which isn't the case when the herd takes umbrage at a neighbor invading their space. Hippos rule the waterways, and you don't want to get on the wrong side of this crowd. This crocodile is lucky to escape with its life. But there's one animal that even the hippos won't argue with. This bull elephant is in no mood to be polite when his way to the water is blocked. Not content with clearing the way, he seems out to make a point. I wouldn't stop there, Junior. The pod keeps watch. But today, everyone's keeping their mouths shut. There's no contest for this territory. And as the baby makes a break for the river, all Mum can do is hold her breath and hope Junior's been practicing holding his. The baby's still not out of danger. Now he could be in danger of being trampled by accident. Or on purpose. This bull really got out of the wrong side of bed today. but he seems to have made his point. And Junior lives to see another day. No thanks to the rest of the pod. The arid landscape of North America is the unlikely habitat for the water-loving amphibians that are the next fighting family. Meet the tadpole of the Spadefoot toad. Less than 2 weeks ago, these infant toads-to-be were nothing but a twinkle in their parents' eyes. There's a reason these youngsters need to grow up fast. This North American species obviously likes a challenge, choosing to live in places where the sun dries out the land for most of the year, and often relying on pop-up ponds to breed. Adult spadefoots dig their way out of the sun, burying themselves during the dry season. But this isn't called Death Valley for nothing. And your tadpole soup if your pond disappears before you can stretch your legs. Most of the brood browse on algae and tiny waterborne organisms. But some discover that broadening their menu by munching on other tadpoles gives them a fast track to growth. Not surprisingly, eating your pond mates doesn't make you popular. Cannibal tadpoles hang out by themselves, while childhood is more sociable for the less aggressive omnivores. The tadpoles like to sample their food. A quick taste test tells them if they're closely related to lunch. And if the flavor is family, close family, the lucky tadpole may be spat out. The Arizona mountains are home to a family drama played out under the placid surface of seasonal ponds. The amount of fight in the next extreme baby is dependent on the weather. The tiger salamander responds to the call of spring by leaving its winter burrows to return to its birthplace and start the next generation. The female deposits up to 100 eggs in a mass, and then leaves the offspring to their own devices. It's probably better she doesn't know what goes on behind her back. After 4 weeks, the larvae hatch out. Their feathery headdresses are actually the gills that allow them to breathe underwater. They grow rapidly after hatching, and some are growing faster than others. There's a gruesome secret to their success. Most of these baby amphibians are plankton eaters, existing on tiny organisms in the pond water. But their big-headed siblings get their sinister power boost from chewing up their harmless pond mates. They're in a race against time to transform from water babies into air-breathing adults before their home disappears under the baking Arizona sun. Turning Hannibal the cannibal in a hot, dry summer not only boosts their food supply, it reduces the competition for space. These cannibals aren't entirely oblivious to family ties. If the lunch potential smells like sibling, it's probably safe. A more distant relative, or even a stranger, makes a more acceptable snack if there's a choice. But when food is in short supply, family ties can suddenly seem much less important than dinner. Years with more rain take the pressure off family meals, and plankton eaters are more likely to survive. Winter temperatures in Alaska can reach -40 degrees. So curling up underground to hibernate is a grizzly bear's best option, especially when she's bringing more tiny grizzlies into the world. Grizzly cubs start life in the dark, which makes the outside world even more exciting when they finally get to explore. They could be with Mum for over 3 years, and in this one-parent family, she's the center of their little lives. Dad is out of the picture, which is just as well. Adult male bears are the cubs' greatest danger. These youngsters are going to keep Mum out of the mating game for at least 3 years. But if they're taken out, she'll be ready to start again when the mating season comes around. So wannabe daddies have no compunction killing cubs. Or they could just be looking at a handy-sized snack. Keeping Junior off the menu is a strong incentive for Mum and kids to keep to themselves. But salmon season sends everyone into a spin. The fish are trying to make it from the sea to their spawning grounds, turning the rivers into a gourmet banquet for bears, who gather in large numbers at this outdoor buffet. Even with such an abundance of fish suppers, tempers can fray. And dominant males will throw their weight around fighting for the best spot. It can be a dangerous place for little bears experiencing their first fishing trip. And sticking close to Mum is essential for survival. The approach of another mother with 2 older cubs isn't seen as a threat by Mum, but the triplets aren't taking any chances. It's probably safer for the 2 mums to hang out together with their cubs in the crowded river space. The big males are claiming the prime spots, and they guard them jealously. So moving into the river is risky for the cubs. And don't look now, but they've been noticed. There's only one thing more dangerous than an aggressive male bear. And that's your mum. She's risking her own life. Mothers can be killed defending their cubs. He could be twice her size, outweighing her by 250 kilos. But this guy knows he's met his match. It is dangerous to be here, but the mothers need to eat and feed their cubs. The abundance of food at the salmon run helps build up the family's fat reserves to get through the winter. And the cubs need to learn. But Mum can't keep her eye on them all the time. And whitewater rafting wasn't supposed to be on the agenda. One little cub won't be needing his supper tonight. It's not Mum who fishes it out of the river. Keeping out of the way of the male of the species and paying attention to Mum is the best survival strategy for little bear cubs. Cuckoos have a different approach to family life. Their idea of parental care is finding some other sucker to bring up baby. This vinous-throated parrotbill has beavered away building a cozy nest for her 5 eggs. Little does she know it, but she's under surveillance. And as soon as she leaves to find food, the cuckoo zips in. The parrotbill isn't away for long and settles back, seemingly unaware that she's now sitting on a time bomb. The cuckoo has tossed out 2 parrotbill eggs to make room for her single supersized one, and carries on her merry way looking for the next unwitting foster mother. She'll lay up to 22 eggs, each one in a different nest. Throwing your infant to the tender mercies of total strangers might seem reckless, but this parenting strategy is so effective that cuckoos have colonized every continent apart from Antarctica. The incubation period of the cuckoo chick is shorter than the hapless host's own chicks, making sure it hatches first. This homicidal infant then eliminates the competition. Right under the beak of their mum and dad. In less than 2 weeks, the alien infant fills the nest, dwarfing its hard-working foster parents, who keep feeding their monstrous only child even after it leaves home. A forbidding land of rocky cliffs and icy seascapes provides the nursery for the next feisty youngster. The Siberian coast and remote rivers of northeast Russia are the breeding ground for the Steller's sea eagle. With a wingspan that can reach almost 2.5 meters, it's Mum who sets the records as one of the world's largest eagles. She can outweigh Dad by up to 1/3. None of the neighbors are going to take on an adult sea eagle. But eggs and chicks need to be safe from predators. There are always other parents on the lookout for the kids' lunch. So sea eagles go to great heights to keep the chicks out of harm's way. Which is a bit ironic, as despite this happy family meal, the biggest danger to one of these chicks lurks within the nest. Both parents can be away for hours on their fishing trips. And while their backs are turned, Steller's sea eagle chicks take sibling rivalry to the extreme. One chick decides it would rather be an only child and starts beating on its hapless nestmate. You might think that the bully would be for it when Dad comes home. But he clearly couldn't care less. Mind you, its elders don't exactly set a better example. One less mouth to feed gets the thumbs up. And in the eagle family, out of 2 or 3 eggs, often only one chick will get to fly the nest. But then, when your wingspan can reach 2 meters, you do need the room when you start trying them out for the first time. Our #1 family fighter looks pretty harmless at this age, but it's going to grow up into one of these. Africa's stunning variety of wildlife is nothing but a smorgasbord to the spotted hyena. These are one of Africa's top predators, and they're not fussy about who's on the menu. With a bite force powerful enough to crunch bones and acid bath stomachs that can even digest teeth, spotted hyenas can reduce a full-size zebra to scraps in less than half an hour. On a night out with their mates, these spotty marauders will take on almost anything. And that includes a pride of lions at a kill. No one else would have the audacity to play tug-of-war with a lioness's dinner. But when this extended family decides to party, Africa's top predator turns into a pussycat chased up a tree. And guess who has the last laugh? It's their tight social network that makes hyenas so successful. They live in complex clans of anything from 3 to 90 individuals. And everyone knows their place. The hierarchy is strictly enforced, with status passed down from mother to daughter. Because in hyena society, the females are in charge. Even the baby females. The raised tail shows this tiny princess is lording it over this lower-ranking adult, and he submits to her inspection. At this age, it's all a bit of a giggle. She knows she can always run back to mum. Female hyenas are attentive parents, and they keep the milk supply flowing for up to 16 months, one of the longest weaning periods of any mammal. Mums raise their kids together in communal nurseries. And in this social network of female relatives, a few unrelated males are allowed to hang around to help produce the next generation. But it's girl power that rules. And this is a girl. Spotted hyena females don't only wear the trousers, they've got the equipment to go in them. Hyena cubs get marinated in an ultra-high dose of testosterone in the womb. It not only produces the extreme anatomy that used to fool people into thinking that they were hermaphrodites. They're not. It also gives baby hyenas such a burst of aggression that they come out of the womb fighting. These tiny infants are born with sharp teeth, and unusually, their eyes are open, so they can see where to bite. Litters are small, usually only 2 cubs, but here, a third newborn gets the family greeting. This isn't play fighting. This is a life and death struggle for dominance. 1 out of 4 won't make it through the first month. Once all the dust has settled and the bodies have been disposed of, the pups that survive have sorted out their place in the pecking order. All homicidal intent is forgotten, and everyone can be friends. Well, most of the time. They might seem cute, helpless, and charmingly innocent. Or they can look fierce, weird, and downright creepy. In the world of extreme animals, meet the babies. This time on the countdown, we're asking the million-dollar question on every baby's mind. What's for lunch? Bringing up baby is never easy, but it gets much harder when every mealtime's a battle. These kids insist on only the finest, rarest, and most laboriously prepared dishes. So dig into the Extreme Animal Countdown and find out which baby is the fussiest eater of all. It's been a season of lean pickings in northern India. At the edge of the Thar Desert, rain only falls 36 days a year. Even here, a master of survival provides for its fussy offspring. The golden jackal. It might be easy to picture these fluffy puppies snuggled up in your arms. But for a wild jackal mum, giving birth to 5 at a time, they can be a real pawful. Especially when they're hungry and constantly begging for food. Mum's hungry too. Her nourishing milk is running dry. And some kids won't take no for an answer. Mum needs to scavenge for food, but she doesn't have to do it alone. Dad is a keeper, staying with Mum for life and helping to protect their family. And he doesn't take kindly to trespassers. A sloth bear is more than 10 times his size. But even giants can feel a bite to the bum. Watch your back, buddy. If both parents hunt together, it triples their chances of getting food. It's a difficult decision for Mum and Dad to leave the kids home alone while they search for dinner. On an empty stomach, though, the choice is much simpler. While fruit, rodents, and insects are a welcome part of this scavenger's diet, There's nothing like a raw, juicy venison steak. Jackals stand less than half a meter tall, and an angry mother deer could do some serious damage. But it's too late. The jackal finishes off the fawn, and the mother jackal takes off with the spoils. Mum returns with a full belly. At about 8 weeks, the fussy kids will be wanting a more substantial meal than milk. Luckily for them, Mum's already whipped up a delicacy. Good old regurgitated meat. The pups dive eagerly into the pre-digested contents of Mum's stomach like there's nothing wrong with it at all. And in fact, there isn't. This is a successful strategy that's shared with the jackal's closest cousins, the wolves. Swallowing your catch means it's stored in the safety of your belly, away from potential thieves. And because Mum has done the chewing beforehand, all the kids need to do is slurp it up like a protein shake. The golden jackal pups have no problem gulping down the venison now that it's been tenderized. What goes in must come out, and for the babies, back in again. So, for making Mum catch, chew, and deliver her creamy stomach soup, the golden jackal slobs in at number 10 on the Fussy Eaters Countdown. The wide-open grasslands of East Africa. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. A natural-born killer chooses his target. And with lightning speed, he strikes. Well, 10 points for trying. This mother of 4 cheetah cubs has her work cut out for her. Unlike golden jackals, cheetah mums raise their young alone, while dads are philandering. The only thing stopping him from mating with every eligible female is, well, nothing really. No help from the kids either. These fussy babies seem to enjoy a privileged life, lounging in the African day spa, getting a tan, and a bit of a head massage. An average cheetah eats around 3 kilos of food a day. Multiplied by a family of 5, that's a lot of pressure on a single mum. It's time the cubs learn to pull their own weight. The trick is to close the gap with stealth. Mum sneaks within 30 meters of her prey and pulls the trigger. The cheetah is a turbocharged speed machine. 0 to 100 in just 3 seconds. Top speed up to 112 kilometers per hour. With a counterbalancing tail and incredible traction that tears up the ground with each stride, she turns on a dime and homes in on her prey. She's fast, but her stamina will only sustain her for around 20 seconds. The excitement of the chase is all too much, and the gazelle just flips out. While Mum catches her breath after an exhausting sprint, the cubs choose the most convenient moment to help out. But they only have minutes to gorge themselves before company arrives to steal their lunch. Mum nervously looks over her shoulder. She's built for speed, not strength. If there's a scrap over food, she's likely to lose. Right on cue, a challenger. Mum puts on a threatening display. But the hyena just laughs it off. She's not at this party to dance. She's here for the canapes. You know you're the butt of the joke when you're picked on by jackals. Or harassed by vultures. And you definitely want to stay well clear of the baddest of them all. The young students have learned the basic rules of the schoolyard. Now, they put the theory into practice. They can run fast and eat fast, but they're not really the fastest learners. Mum makes it really easy for them. She marks out a Thompson's gazelle fawn, still alive. All the kids need to do is bite down on the throat, but they seem more interested in playing with their food. Suddenly, a hare's rapid motion triggers an irresistible chase reflex. The big cats quickly make a snack of this one. But what about the fawn? The cheetahs never made a killing bite. They seem to have completely forgotten about the free lunch. And the baby gazelle leaps back to life. Well, at least they got something. The meal Mum prepared wasn't good enough for these fussy eaters. But for being bullied out of their lunch, time and time again, cheetah cubs drop out of the countdown. A 36-ton giant leaps right out of the deep end. Humpback whales are far more massive than anything you can find on land. Imagine giving birth to one of these babies. Newborn calves are 4.5 meters long and can weigh about 900 kilos. Yet in the water, all that bulk is gracefully guided like a spaceship in zero gravity, thanks to a powerful tail fluke and the largest flippers on Earth. A male escort accompanies them with his whale song, a mysterious form of communication that can be heard up to 160 kilometers away. And the calf seems to enjoy dancing around the deep blue in a plus-size ballet. A heavyweight prima donna like this one demands only the most exquisite of refreshments. Like all mammals, baby whales depend on mother's milk to grow. Easy enough on land, but underwater, this air-breathing calf is going to have to drink while he's in the drink. And holding his breath is only part of the problem. The calf's inflexible whale lips can't form a tight seal around the milk teats. So Mum helps out by pumping the precious milk into his mouth. If you thought whipped cream was rich, try a humpback thick shake. With a fat content of up to 60%, it's more than 10 times fatter than cow's milk. So it's worth all the extra effort to get it down this budding sumo. And he'll need to grow up fast. Because while he's small, he's easy pickings for predators. Like the wolves of the water, the orcas. Humpbacks need to voyage thousands of kilometers from their breeding grounds to their feeding sites. And by the time the babies reach their destination, up to 1/3 of them will be showing off their scars from orca attacks. If they make it at all. This calf has survived the trip to the eatery. Now at around 6 months, he's ready to learn the exotic art of humpback dining. First of all, he'll need to help his family set the table. The whales dive deep under a school of herring. Then they breathe out as they spiral to the surface, producing a cylindrical fishnet of air bubbles that draws the herring into a concentrated bait ball at its center. And as they reach the pinnacle of their three-dimensional trap, they open wide, and dinner is served. Each whale can eat over 1,000 kilos of food a day, so it pays to make every gulp count. For starting life on one of the richest of beverages and graduating to fussy dinner parties, humpback whales breach their way to number 9. The babies are about to dive deeper into nature's food fight. And some of their bizarre habits will be hard to swallow. So far in the countdown of fussy eaters, we've had golden jackals throwing up at the sight of their young at number 10, and a whale of a baby on a high-fat diet at number 9. The next fussy babies acquire a disturbing new taste. Off the coast of South Africa is Dassin Island, home to a colony of great white pelicans. The chicks start off with a coat of black down, but in a few weeks, they'll look more like their parents in full flight feathers. As far as fussy eating goes, pelicans have their particular rituals. Like humpback whales, they work together in formation to herd freshwater fish into the shallows, before scooping the big ones up with their incredible bills and swallowing them whole. The preparation pays off. Pelicans usually finish the day's eating before most of us have had our morning coffee. But the once bountiful fish stocks around Dassin Island have moved away, and everyone's had to tighten their belts. The parents are back from their fishing trip. No time to even hang up their coats before the chicks dive headfirst into their gullets, hoping for a nice regurgitated breakfast. Dig as deep as you want, son. There's not much in there. When the fussy kids are jumping down your throat, begging for their favorite fish meat, it's time for desperate measures. Less than 45 kilometers away, another colony of birds, the Cape gannets, also need to provide for their babies. Massive schools of sardine are perfect targets for an elite dive bomber. They impact the water at over 100 kilometers an hour, diving down to 13 meters below. A daring maneuver that would kill other animals. But gannets come equipped with airbags in their face and chest, as well as closable nostrils on the inside of their bills to stop seawater flooding in. While the adults are out fishing, the hungry Cape gannet babies wait at home for dinner. In hard times, pairs of parents leave their chicks unattended as they both must head out to forage, making it easy for the pelicans to infiltrate their nest unchallenged and steal their babies. Pelicans can swallow chicks weighing almost 2 kilos. They're the unlucky ones, whose parents aren't there to defend them. Abducted babies, lost without a trace. As for the young pelicans, Mum and Dad didn't get them the fish they wanted. But this meaty delicacy, it's not bad at all. Just don't ask too many questions about where it came from. So, for sending their parents to their neighbors to feed their new fussy tastes, great white pelican chicks gulp down at number 8. In Japan's subalpine forests, temperatures fall as low as -20 degrees centigrade. This is the home of the northernmost non-human primates in the world. Japanese macaques, or snow monkeys. Wearing a thick fur coat takes the bite off the freezing cold, and even the babies aren't too bothered. Especially when the snow provides an endless source of entertainment. Rolling snowballs seems to have no survival purpose. But it's pretty fun watching things go downhill. That's not the baby's fault. And there's the hot springs at Jigokudani, or Hell Valley. With a place like this, even if the valley freezes over, they've got a slice of heaven. All that's missing is a personal masseuse. No, wait, they've got that too. Back in the 1960s, a young female monkey accidentally took a bath and liked it. Her knowledge was passed down through the generations, and now, like all tourist hotspots, it gets pretty crowded in peak season. Here, they picked up their ancestors' fussy lifestyle habits. But it's not just about the best bathing spots. Macaques learn all kinds of new behavior from others in their group. And it's often the hip young ones who set the fashion. Especially when lunch is involved. These progressive monkeys brave the crashing tide to chase the latest food craze. Seaweed. 13 different varieties, providing a rich, alternative source of nutrients when their usual feeding grounds dry up. Further south, on Koshima Island, the monkeys have inherited an even more discerning taste. In the 1950s, an 18-month-old Japanese macaque baby started a new trend. Rinsing sweet potatoes in the sea. Presumably, a bit of salt makes the food taste better, and so, the culinary art of seasoning was discovered. Many monkey lifetimes later, the macaque's legacy lives on. It only takes a single innovative baby to start a fad, and today, they just can't get enough of ready salted wheat. It sure tastes good. Soaking it up in their winter resort and salting their potatoes like French fries. Yep, that's fussy. Trend-setting Japanese macaque babies make a splash at number 7. Seasoning food isn't exactly worthy of a chef's hat, but wait till you see the fussy recipes coming up as we get closer to revealing number 1. It doesn't seem like a good idea to be a fussy eater when food is few and far between. Like here, in Africa's Kalahari Desert. Yet, for a species of mongoose, fussing over meals has its benefits. Meerkats work together in a tight-knit social hierarchy to raise their young, find lunch, and keep their ears warm. And from about a month old, juniors tag along on foraging missions. It's been easy so far. Whining when they're hungry usually results in prompt delivery. But as they get older, their begging calls change, and adults don't respond quite so readily. Puberty's not very attractive for meerkats either, apparently. The babies are enrolling at cooking school, where they'll learn the ins and outs of fussy food preparation. Step 1. Stand to attention. Some are already finding this difficult. Not a good sign. Step 2. Dig. Well, step 2. Focus. Good. Now dig. Every chef worth their salt starts by searching for the finest ingredients, even if it's hiding deep underground. A meerkat can excavate 50 times its body weight in sand in just half a day. Even the babies can send dirt flying. Just make sure to face the right way. Luckily, meerkats have special membranes to protect their eyes and ears that can close up at will. This pup has found a succulent scorpion. Now for the next big lesson of a fussy cook. Food safety. Scorpion stings are packed full of neurotoxins to paralyze and kill prey. And although meerkats have some natural immunity to the venom, it's no fun catching a stinger in the eye. Dancing around isn't going to solve that problem. But amputating the nasty parts first makes it a much safer meal. Another delicacy is a protein-rich millipede. But eating it raw might result in much worse than an upset stomach. Millipedes cover themselves in rancid poison to deter predators. So the pup learns to prepare his leggy bite by scrubbing it across the ground and cleaning off that nasty sauce. The end result is so tasty that the teacher eats it all herself, leaving nothing for the pup. As dusk approaches, the hungry baby has one last chance at a carefully prepared meal. His auntie's millipede. Bad life decisions are made on an empty stomach, and when school's not doing it for you, it's easy to turn delinquent. Stealing from a pregnant lady? Now that's low. Digging deep for their prime ingredients and fussing over food safety puts the mini meerkat at number 6 on the Fussy Eaters countdown. In a small burrow underground, a clutch of chameleon eggs have been incubating unattended for about 3 months. Now, a new family of fussy eaters are about to open their eyes. One thing about being born from a cold-blooded mother, she won't be there to see your first baby steps. Like most lizards, chameleons take a hands-off approach to parenting, preferring to hide their eggs rather than guard them. So after digging a hole and dropping her load, Mum wishes her offspring the best of luck. Hopefully, better luck than her. Some chameleon mothers don't even bother making a home. This bizarre species gives birth to live young. Ready to see the world, boys and girls? Away you go. But it's not just their own offspring that they keep at arm's length. These fussy eaters won't even get close to their food. Not that they're bad at eating. Moments after hatching, they're already dressed for the hunt. Baby chameleons are born with all the skills and instincts they need to survive. It's every lizard for themselves. United, they fall. Move over, buddy. Newborn killing machine coming through. This baby's exceptional eyes can swivel independently, scanning almost 360 degrees around him. He locks on a target, readies his tongue like a spring-loaded gun, and earns his predator stripes at the age of 0. Chameleon tongues can launch with an acceleration of over 41 Gs, snatching bugs more than 2.5 body lengths away. The end of their tongues act like suction cups, and supercontracting muscles exert enough force to pull in the weight of small birds. The problem with having such a specialized weapon is that these fussy lizards outright refuse to catch prey less than 1/3 of a body length away. Yuck. You're in his personal space. Staying well clear of perfectly good food is a telltale sign of a fussy eater. But the chameleon's firm grasp of advanced oral weaponry disqualifies them from this extreme baby countdown. From here on, the babies are getting bigger, brighter, and bloodier to earn their place on the top 5. We're counting down the fussiest eaters in the world of extreme animal babies. From kids on the losing end of lunchtime tussles, to mammoth mammals swallowing up the sea, and outright carnivory from the most unexpected of places. Towering termite mounds punctuate the grasslands of Brazil's Cerrado, where swarms of winged termites take flight to breed with males and females from other mounds. But hiding in the midst of this breeding orgy are fussy eaters who've been saving space all year for one extravagant binge. And once the sun goes down, it's their time to shine. Christmas has come early for the larvae of the headlight beetle. Some have been squatting safely within the termite's home for 3 years. A spot their parents chose specifically for the quality dining. And now for only a couple of weeks in the year, they creep out of their burrows and flick on the fairy lights. The dazzling green bioluminescence is produced by chemical reactions behind the larva's head. For a termite, this light signals all go. The babies glow brighter when disturbed, so the closer the termites get, the more enticing the light. And once it's in range, the larva snatches with well-developed mandibles and drags the termite to its doom. Then it's back for more. The baby headlight beetle will need all the protein it can get to metamorphose into its adult form. And it could be the only time this fussy eater lights up to hunt all year. Good thing the termites have put on a feast to break the fast. So, for being very picky with their dinner timing, the headlight beetle gets a glowing 5 on the fussy eater's countdown. The next babies live a sophisticated lifestyle off the Californian coast, clinging onto each other for dear life, or just enjoying an afternoon bath, are a raft of sea otters. These weaselly floaters can spend their entire lives without touching land, eating, sleeping, and even giving birth in the water. But this mother in Monterey Bay has chosen to raise her pup in a more affluent neighborhood. She'll do anything for her little princess, such as taking her out on a luxury cruise. Sea otters have the densest fur coat of any animal in the world, With 400,000 hairs per square centimeter, it traps bubbles of air like a woolly sweater crossed with a life jacket, making them as buoyant as a sunbather on a pool bed. They also have the fastest metabolism of any marine mammal, eating almost a third of their body weight each day. But it's not just about dining at the finest seafood buffet. Mother has to teach this youngster how to satisfy her voracious appetite with the proper flair and etiquette. You certainly don't do anything as barbaric as opening spiky sea urchins with your bare fingers. Always use the right cutlery, in this case, a rock. Rocks can also be balanced on one's belly and used as anvils. This is the correct way to crack open crabs and shellfish. But there is no respectable way to eat a cola can. Seriously, stop. Mother has discovered that metal is a more upmarket anvil, at the cost of thousands of dollars to the boat owners. Not her problem. Her priority is to train her daughter into a well-bred fussy eater. Wood, not so great. Tires, this might take some time. Ah, finally, the satisfying ring of steel. But beware, the males of the species are no gentlemen. This otter will try to separate mother from baby, forcing her to come into season and conceive his own offspring. And when it comes to mating, female otters full of scars can consider themselves lucky to live. The pup returns from hiding, but her mother is nowhere to be found. All alone, at only 4 months old, she's fighting against the odds to survive. Lucky for this baby, she was paying attention in her mother's finishing school. She's even invented a new, clever take on bottle feeding. This young lady has earned her place in an exclusive club, one of very few species of mammals known to use tools. Mother might still be out there somewhere. But even if they never meet again, the intimate bond they shared has already won this girl her independence. For mastering the aristocratic touch of dining utensils, Sea Otter Pup floats up to 4th place on the countdown of fussy eaters. It's all carnage from here, as these classy babies take a bite out of each other. Beneath the surface of Africa's Great Lakes are another bunch of extreme babies. And they're a real mouthful. What looks like an accident with the old vacuum cleaner is actually a mother cichlid's clever way of keeping the kids safe, known as mouth brooding. This family has to share the crowded hood with about 1,000 other species of cichlids. All evolved to one-up each other in radically different ways. There's the algae combers and choppers, the plankton pluckers, the sand sifters, and the more devious ones pretending to be sand sifters. Some like to hide in the sand. Others hide in plain sight, going straight for the Oscars with their dramatic death scenes. When everyone's trying to get at your babies, it pays to put your money where your mouth is. Just remember to suppress that gag reflex. It seems foolproof, but you'd be a fool to rest easy in this swirling arena of subterfuge. Because the most cunning of them all aren't cichlids. Waiting in the wings, twitching their whiskers, a catfish and their ruthless fry. A horay cichlid is about to be a mother. She lays the eggs, waits for her mate to fertilize them, and then scoops them into her mouth. But somehow, the whiskered villains have managed to mix in their eggs with the cichlids, without the mother noticing. The strange yellow eggs belonging to the catfish have been incubating as long as the pink cichlid eggs. But because the catfish eggs are smaller, they hatch earlier. The parasites quickly absorb their own yolks. Once that's gone, they turn on their roommates. And for their first dining experience, these fussy eaters go straight for the most expensive item on the menu, cichlid caviar. Mum's getting ready for the big day. There's a lot of commotion in her mouth. It must be time to open the gates to a bright new world. But what comes out of her mouth isn't her own cichlid babies. It's the treacherous catfish fry. They've eaten away the competition before the cichlids even had a chance to meet their mother. An ingenious plan that gives the tiny catfish a head start in this intense evolutionary arms race. They might never taste anything quite like their first hors d'oeuvre, so the caviar gobbling catfish munch their way to fussy eater number 3. Beautiful New Zealand, with epic vistas in every direction. Of all the places you could make a nest, these birds of prey chose a stinky marsh. The daddy swamp harrier hovers over his mate and 3 newly hatched chicks. It's a family worthy of a white picket fence. Swamp harriers mate for life. Daddy goes to work, while Mummy stays home to feed the fussy kids. A lovely family scene. Until recession strikes. And Daddy can't find enough meat for a family of 5. Which means the youngest chick won't be having dinner. Ever again. Mum knows the best way to deal with her tragic loss is to feed it to her chicks. Why waste when you can recycle? Now, only 2 babies share the slim pickings. A month later, the starving sisters turn on each other. This is no ordinary sibling rivalry. It's a fight to the death over food. Dad stops home with a paycheck, dramatically passing it to Mum through the air. But it's not enough for both girls. There are new rules in this family. The strongest girl eats first. Then the weaker one gets her share. And that's nothing. Come fledging time, there's only 1 baby left. Whether it was starvation or murder is of no concern to the mother. The survival of 1 chick is better than none. Now, for the last time in her life, the surviving chick savors the exceptional taste of sister steak. It's not often you get to eat such a special meal. So for snacking on siblings, swamp harrier chicks are fussy eater number 2. Only 1 extreme animal baby remains to take the crown on the fussy eaters countdown. It's been a gut-chilling battle royale counting down the most fussy-eating habits of animal babies. At number 10, golden jackal pups and their second-hand meal. Weighing in at number 9, the humpback whale. Baby number 8 is the pelican chick with a changing diet. In 7th place, the Japanese macaques sure love their sea salt. 6th place goes to baby meerkats at cooking school. Positively glowing at number 5 are headlight beetle larvae. Number 4 sees the graceful debut of a baby sea otter. In 3rd place, catfish fry gorge themselves on caviar. And the runner-up, a baby swamp harrier goes Pac-Man on her sisters. There can only be one champion, and everybody knows to make way for the king. Not these pussycats, the real king of the jungle, the elephant. Tipping the scales at up to 8 tons. The largest land animal on Earth. And though they're herbivores, fully grown elephants are no pushovers. Their babies, well, they've got room for improvement. For starters, eating is usually a fussy challenge. Especially with the complicated thing stuck to the front of his face. Elephant trunks have nearly 150,000 muscle units. Humans only have 700 or so muscles in their whole body, so grabbing a bite to eat is going to take a lot of intricate brain power. Shush you! The big guys have already mastered the art of twirling up grass like spaghetti on a fork, and picking at the roots of lakeshore plants. The fussier ones make sure to wash their veggies. This all comes with practice, and the little guy's only just started stretching his leg muscles. Mom encourages him to take a cooling dip, although she might have thrown him in the deep end. Babies quickly learn to use their trunks as snorkels while swimming or drinking, or while their annoying cousins drown them as a joke. But once the baby gets a handle on his trunk, he'll also get fussier. Freshly picked grass just won't cut it for his first solid meal. Nope, the best stuff comes out the other end. An adult elephant eats about 100 kilos of food a day, sometimes double that when they're especially hungry, which also means a lot of dung. It's not just nutrition for the dung beetles. Move over, golden jackals, because what's fussier than having mum chew your food? Having her poop it out. The baby elephant digs into a fresh batch of feces. And it's not just any old dung. This is mummy's poop, a starter package full of her essential gut bacteria, which the baby will need to digest grass. Because elephant guts are inefficient, 2/3 of the food passes through intact. So dung is just leftovers. Waste not, want not. So, when you're following mum and she drops something, it's only right to pick it up. For accepting no less than mama's dung as the first solid appetizer of his life, the elephant calf stomps down as the #1 fussiest eater in this countdown of extreme animal babies. A lone elephant calf has attracted a 14-lion carnival to his rear end. And it's definitely not dung they're after. They're serving up elephant for tonight's main course. But this big kid won't take it lying down. If the lions want a piece of him, he's gonna deliver it right to them. An elephant roundhouse to the ribs quickly changes the lion's mind. And the hot-headed calf makes a miraculous escape across the river. They might seem cute, helpless, and charmingly innocent. Or they can look fierce, weird, and downright creepy. In the world of extreme animals, meet the babies. Born into harsh families, extreme conditions, or under the gaze of scary predators, these youngsters all do it tough. But which will be crowned the extreme animal baby #1 toughest tot? Way up in the Arctic, where the winters are so cold the sea freezes over, life is hard fought. You'd expect the residents of a place like this to be as tough as they come. And in fact, this sea ice is the realm of the world's largest land carnivore. Over 3 meters tall on its hind legs and weighing more than 600 kilos. These powerful predators are truly fearsome. And yet, they couldn't be much cuter as cubs. No. When these polar bears were newborn, they were no bigger than guinea pigs. But they've spent the last 3 months holed up in a den, getting fat on their mother's milk. They'll be reliant on her until they're around 3 years old. The bond between mother and cubs is consequently strong and affectionate. But it's not all milk-drunk love. They must battle to survive from early on. The Arctic has one of the harshest climates on the planet, with temperatures plunging to -46 in winter. Polar bears are well equipped to deal with the extreme cold, with a double layer of fur, thick body fat, and small ears and tail to reduce heat loss. Even in temperatures as low as -37, their body temperature will remain at 37 degrees Celsius, the average for mammals. But despite these adaptations for their tough environment, in some areas, less than half the cubs will live through their first year. Mum has been fasting since just after she became pregnant 8 months ago. If she and her cubs are to survive, she must make a kill soon so they can all eat. A ringed seal pup is hidden from sight under the snow. But Mum's sensitive nose can detect the fat-encased, energy-rich prey from just over a kilometre away. Although she's hefty, she must be stealthy. Too late. The seal pup doesn't hang around to see who's at the door, and dinner makes a speedy exit. Exhausted and close to starvation, they'll die here unless they eat soon. But it looks like Mum's caught a whiff of hope. Out on the sea ice, a large male has scavenged a whale carcass. Mum's not hanging around for a dinner invite, and her cubs have little choice but to follow her through the icy water. This is a risky operation. The male could be twice Mum's size. If he attacks, there may be little she can do to stop him killing her cubs. The family sticks close together as they approach to a respectful distance. There's enough here for everyone, if they play their cards right. Once the big male has eaten his fill, he's not averse to sharing. And the kids follow Mum as she cautiously moves in for the leftovers.
And what a great family meal it is too. Supersized and absolutely blubbery. Thanks, Mum. For playing it ice cool in one of nature's most inhospitable kindergartens, polar bear cubs are number 10 on the countdown of toughest tots. Grazing on grasslands across almost the entire length and breadth of Africa is an animal so tall its head glides between the treetops. Between 4 and 6 meters from toes to nose, the giraffe is the tallest mammal on the planet. This one is in the final stages of labor. First, the calf's front legs, and then the head emerge. It looks like trying to open an umbrella inside the house, and then trying to back out the front door. And while her height might provide a womb with a view, there's one substantial drawback for a calf. There's only one way down. The quick way. High diving around 1.5 meters to the ground is undoubtedly a tough introduction to the world. But within roughly half an hour, newborn giraffes are on their feet. And incredibly, within around 10 hours, they can run with their mothers. There's good reason giraffes are born so well developed. Their neighbors aren't all friendly. During the first few months of life, up to 3/4 of baby giraffes will fall prey to hyenas or lions. But not without a fight. The longest legs on land aren't just for show. Strong enough to support up to 3.5 tons, they pack enormous power, making giraffes one of the few prey animals capable of turning the tables on one of Africa's top predators. A hungry pride has a young calf in their sights, but Mum's lofty vantage point means they can't sneak up unseen. Keeping her calf close, the protective parent aims powerful kicks at any lion that approaches. If one of these connects, it could shatter bones. So the lions are wary. Before long, mother and calf are surrounded. Their only hope now is to make a break for it. Grown giraffes can run at speeds of over 50 kilometers an hour. And this mum and kid leave the pride in the dust. For a high-diving start into a predator's paradise, giraffe calves place 9th on the countdown of tough tots. From North Africa to the Middle East lives a shy little creature which spends its whole life in labyrinthine underground burrows. Naked mole rat is somewhat of a misnomer. Naked porcupine sausage would be closer to the mark. Not only is it more closely related to the porcupine than either moles or rats, but let's face it, if it weren't for the buck teeth, you could slap one of these in a finger roll and call it a hot dog. Yep, naked mole rats have a face only a mother could love. But it turns out, motherly love is in rather short supply. Naked mole rats are one of only 2 mammals which are eusocial. Several generations live together in ant-like colonies of up to 300 individuals. The colony is ruled over by a single queen, who can give birth to over 100 new little workers a year. So it's always a scrap for milk. And it's little wonder none of her offspring are Mama's special little sausage for long. Fortunately, naked mole rats have thick skin, or at least can suppress feelings of pain through it. Particularly handy for the smallest players at the bottom of a writhing communal scrum. These seemingly delicate babies can also survive in an environment so low in oxygen, it would kill a human. Tough tots indeed. And that's not the limit of the naked mole rat's special skills. They can run backwards as fast as they can run forwards. Well, okay, it's less a special skill than a little bit weird. And to get the full nutritional value out of the roots and tubers, which are their only food, mole rats eat them twice. Just think about that for a second. Oh my goodness. Oh, yuck. They eat their own... yeah. If that wasn't grubby enough, because they're virtually blind, mole rats identify members of their group by smell. How do you all get to smell the same? Easy. Roll in each other's... So, for being both the feels-no-pain tough kid who no one wants to mess with, and the weird smelly kid that no one wants to sit next to, naked mole rat babies scramble their way to number 8. Feuding fathers, nasty nannies, and persistent predators. It's all coming up in the countdown of extreme animal babies' toughest tots. So far, we've seen brave little bears, high-diving giraffes, and a whole pile of ugly. Next up, brace yourselves. The Tough Tots countdown is about to get heavy. On the grasslands of the tropical island of Sri Lanka, herds of elephants roam. The largest of the Asian elephant subspecies, calves are born weighing in at around 100 kilos. They're still small enough to get under mum's feet, but big enough to make these tots too tough a meal for most predators. And even a leopard doesn't stand much of a chance against the protective wall of massive aunties. But how tough are they really? Well, they can walk within hours of birth, so can soon keep up with the herd, which must move if it's to survive. Adult elephants can eat over 130 kilos of food and need to drink between 100 and 200 liters of water per day. To satisfy these massive appetites, the herd migrates between the wet and dry seasons each year. Waterholes attract all sorts of thirsty animals, and that attracts predators. Crocs have been known to attack elephants, but do these youngsters look bothered? Nope, because they're not going anywhere until the herd's big matriarch has cleared out the riffraff. The danger gone, the calves head in for a drink. But the crocodile has spoiled the pool party. The remains of its last kill contaminate the water. Dead buffalo isn't a garnish that appeals to this matriarch, so she leads the herd in search of a higher class hangout. The next watering hole is much more appetizing. And the whole herd heads in to quench their thirst. The adults drink using their trunk, but with over 100,000 muscles and ligaments, it takes calves months to master its control, and they drink with their mouths. Not so much tough, as a little uncouth. The water also provides a chance to cool off, and gives the youngsters an opportunity to play. All too soon, with dusk approaching, it's time to move on. But not everyone's keen to get out of the water. These three kids have been having far too much fun to want to stop now. With the whole herd waiting, Mum chivies them along. And the trio makes a reluctant exit. They say an elephant never forgets, but it looks like this little one has a selective memory when it comes to Mum's instructions. With the herd already heading off, Junior should be packing her trunk, not chucking a tanty. Oh, come on! Just 5 more minutes. Eventually, she's out. And then she's not. But the threat of being left behind usually works for most toddlers. And there's always tomorrow. There's nothing tough about hanging back behind the heavies or backsliding on mum. So, no ranking for elephant calves. But they're not the only elephantine youngsters vying for a spot on the countdown. They live at the beach with food on tap. And nothing on their schedule but sunbathing. So what's a southern elephant seal pup got to scream about? Well, while mum's a doting parent, dad's got a real mean streak. He wasn't always like this. Back when Dad first met Mum, he was all, "Hey, sugar thighs." And she was like, "Oh, me? Yeah, you. What's jiggling?" Dad always had yesterday's fish on his breath, but Mum didn't care. She was in love. And for a while, everything was rosy and oh, so romantic. Then one day, Mum was down at the pool, just minding her own, when she noticed she was getting the hairy eyeball. Were these females just jealous because she was so beautiful? Nope, it was because they were Dad's girlfriends too. And they were ugly. It turned out Dad didn't really care for looks. He'd chase just about any female at the beach and attempt to impregnate her. And in Mum's case, he succeeded. For the next few weeks, she and the pup bonded. The youngster got fat on her milk. Whoa! It's like a huge double chin grew a cute little face. And Dad? Well, Dad was off with one of his other girlfriends and left the pair well alone. Or at least that is, until Mum got a new boyfriend. And then, it was on. Around 4 tons of wobbling angry, you know when Daddy's coming for you. And you better not get in his way. This steamroller won't even notice if he offs the offspring, in his haste to get his teeth stuck into Romeo. While the battle rages, this traumatized pup makes it back to the safety of Mum's side. But with bloody heavyweight scraps kicking off up and down the beach, inevitably, there's collateral damage. And the birds feast on the squashed remains of pups unlucky enough to have crossed big males on the warpath. Life might be a beach for elephant seal pups, but Dad's a total... They're in at number 7 on the countdown of tough tots. From Antarctic shores to the mountains of South America, the next stop is the Andes. Oh, ducklings! And what could be cuter than the sight of Mother Duck taking her offspring for their first ever swim? Well, hold the melting moment, because these fluffy little fiends are torrent ducklings. Hatched in the mountains just an hour ago, there's no local pond for their inaugural swimming lesson. Just this raging river. It's enough to make a torrent duckling turn chicken. But with Dad leading the way, there's no identity crisis for these two. Torrent ducks are sleekly built and have powerful legs and tails ideally adapted for even the mightiest rapids. And their offspring can keep up almost immediately. This duckling is navigating the river using submerged rocks to shelter from the turbulence. But if the current proves too much and it's washed downstream, its parents will stage a rescue. And right now, Dad's lost sight of his ward. These angry waters are thought to be the biggest killer of torrent ducklings, and if he doesn't act fast, the consequences could be fatal. But torrent ducks can dive and swim underwater against the current for up to a minute in search of food. And this youngster had just ducked out for a bite to eat. For fearlessly taking on the whitewater of the Andes at such a tender age, torrent ducklings power into 6th place on the countdown of toughest tots. They're bright and brave, but are their offspring really badass? Find out as we continue the countdown. Staunch litters, heavy hitters, and filthy naked mole rats. These tots just keep getting tougher as the countdown continues. Frogs are incredibly successful amphibians. There are more than 5,000 known species of frog and toad, and they can be found in most habitats across the globe. But most species are less tough customers than tasty morsels. So blending into the background is a sensible survival strategy. In South America, there's one family of frogs which is far from a wallflower. The well over 100 known species of poison dart frog come in all the colors of the carnival. These frogs might only be the size of your thumbnail, but they're tough little characters. In full view of the rest of the rainforest, they brazenly announce their presence, fight with each other, and even stand up to much larger, scary predators. It's the wolf spider, which leaves with its tail between its legs. It learned the hard way poison dart frogs can be deadly poisonous. Thanks to a diet rich in toxic insects, their bodies are covered in a neurotoxin secretion, and their brightly colored skin is a warning of the fact. With only one known predator, it's little wonder poison dart frogs are true rainforest roughnecks. But what of their offspring? Are they as tough as their tiny parents? Well, unlike most frogs, the strawberry poison dart frog lays relatively few eggs, only up to around 5. Both parents are also highly attentive, frequently returning to check on their brood before they hatch. And when the tadpoles do finally emerge, their doting mother becomes a taxi service. The babes are deposited in tiny, sheltered pools, like this one at the base of a bromeliad plant. This exclusive nursery may be safe, but there's not much to sustain a hungry tadpole. So every couple of days, Mum returns to deliver poolside service. An unfertilized egg, which her offspring greedily gobbles up. Until 6 weeks later, Junior is almost fully developed. This is one unbelievably spoilt froglet. All this mollycoddling, it's enough to make a grown toad wanna... Oh, I think he's actually gonna... hurl. And somewhat unexpectedly, he's barfed up a baby. Darwin's toads are another amphibian which enjoys a cosseted start to life. Dad carries the tadpoles around in his vocal sac for around 6 weeks, at which point he spews them from his mouth fully grown. So, thanks to overzealous parenting, there's no place in the countdown for poison dart frogs or Darwin's toads. But there is one frog which does produce genuinely tough tots. Meet the reticulated glass frog, named due to the transparency of its skin. Yep, no surprise tadpoles stashed in this one. The reticulated glass frog might appear fragile, but Dad is remarkably resilient when it comes to caring for his offspring. He'll guard the clutch of eggs through the day and into the night, keeping them hydrated by pressing his body against them. It's during the day, though, that his defense must be most staunch. Rainforest wasps are among the most avid predators of glass frog eggs. And one of these aggressive carnivores has found the egg clutch. It's nearly as long as the frog and carries a venomous sting. But Dad's not scared off. Because in a twist on the fairy tale, when the wasp goes in for a kiss, it's not a prince he turns into, but a ninja. Dad's heroics are impressive, but while he's brawling with one wasp, another has got to the eggs. The tadpoles within face certain death. But then, something incredible happens. The tadpoles begin escape hatching. Under normal circumstances, they take around 2 weeks to hatch. But having sensed they're under attack, some are bailing early. It's a dangerous new world for this tadpole, one it wasn't supposed to explore just yet. But staying put hasn't worked out too well for its siblings. So taking the plunge now is a risk which might just save its life. Soft? Spoilt? Not this tadpole. It's a survivor. For staging such a daring escape, glass frog tadpoles high dive their way into 5th place on the countdown. Next, going it solo or loving mum. What makes for the toughest tot? All of family life is here as we count down to the number 1 toughest kid on the block. Large stretches of Africa and Asia are home to the next baby bruiser. Leopards are amongst the most wide-ranging and adaptable of big cats. These streamlined killing machines aren't fussy about their food. Most things with a pulse will do. But this stealthy predator starts life as nothing but a pussycat. Tree climbing is a way of life. It gives Mum a safe vantage point to keep an eye on things. And a larder out of reach of other would-be bandits. Mum makes treetop living look easy. But the dismount takes a little practice. Leopard cubs stick with Mum for up to 1.5 years while they learn to hunt and improve their climbing skills. In India, bashing a passing cobra under Mum's watchful eye is one way to tune up your reflexes. If it lands a bite, the snake is venomous enough to take down an elephant. But the leopard kids have to learn to survive in a tough world. And dodging a king cobra is just part of their nursery education. Tackling a civet leaves a nasty taste in the mouth. This cub's just discovered the small mammal emits a nauseating secretion when it's upset. And this one's not happy. The African plains have their own dangers, and some playmates are probably better avoided. You can't fault this cub for trying, but he's really not getting the point. As with most animals, it's getting through the first few months of life that's the big challenge. Very young cubs have few defenses, and those gooey eyes aren't going to cut it with anyone but Mum. Keeping the cubs stashed out of sight is Mum's only option when she's off hunting. A narrow den protects against marauding hyenas or lions. But there's one deadly neighbor that can silently slip into a cub-sized crevice. When Mum returns, there's no sign of Junior. But the python's efforts to play the innocent are thwarted by a large, cub-shaped bulge. Mum isn't going to take that lying down. It seems she knows her own cub anywhere, even in a snakeskin overcoat. And her persistence pays off. The python loses its lunch and returns the cub. A little worse for wear. Several hours in the snake's gastric juices have done nothing for its complexion. And despite Mum's heroic efforts, this is one little leopard that just wasn't tough enough. So despite facing up to prickly playmates, leopard cubs don't make a spot on the Tough Tots countdown. Found throughout South and Southeastern Asia, the water monitor is the world's second largest monitor lizard, growing up to 3 meters long. Females lay a lot of eggs, up to 40 a year. But digging a burrow is the limit of a mother's maternal duties. And she doesn't hang around to incubate them. Months later, when the eggs should be ready to hatch, only one does. The others have succumbed to mold. So right from the start of life, the baby lizard must go it alone. And at only 30 centimeters long, it emerges into a very threatening environment indeed. Monitor lizards are extreme carnivores, which means they'll kill anything they believe they can eat, including smaller monitor lizards. Life lesson 1 for this tough tot: keep your head down. But staying out of sight might not be enough. Monitor lizards have an incredibly strong sense of smell, lapping odors into their mouth. But it's the stench of the rotten eggs which have tickled this big adult's tongue. And the youngster makes a dash for it. Having escaped the cannibalistic elder, the little water monitor takes his first ever dib. As his name suggests, he'll spend much of his life close to or in the water. Although that might not be too long. Life lesson number 2, keep an eye on the sky. Although the lizard is an able swimmer, he's not about to outpace a sea eagle. But it's fish on the menu today. All this running for your young life is hungry work. So what's a hatchling water monitor to eat? Yum. Ants, and lots of them. They're a bite-sized meal for some small lizards, like extra crunchy sushi. But uh-oh, life lesson number 3. This particular species is served up with an eyeful of wasabi. When threatened, weaver ants spray formic acid. And the lizard, eyes smarting, beats a hasty retreat. With dusk approaching, it's time to seek refuge from the dangers lurking in the forest and the cool of the night. finally safe, the young lizard should perhaps reflect on all his day has taught him. Because tomorrow, he's going to have to run the gauntlet of life all over again. They're extreme carnivores once fully grown, but when they're little, it seems water monitors are just extremely tasty. But despite being on the menu of just about every predator, they're only number 4 on the countdown. Because we're soon to meet a tot so tough, it leaves the rest looking like crybabies. From the cold of the Arctic to the heat of the South American rainforest, we've seen tough tots struggling for survival in all sorts of environments. Throughout the world's oceans, capable of changing the color and texture of their skin within seconds, cuttlefish are an all-in-one deep-sea disco. A flashy display can be used to attract a mate, and this seemingly preternatural ability is also used for camouflage when cuttlefish are hunting, or to hide when they're threatened. But there is a species of cuttlefish for which these rippling, vivid displays fulfill an entirely different function. And it's tiny. From birth, the flamboyant cuttlefish lives up to its name, emerging from its egg sac in pulsating technicolor. Most newborns prefer a low-key approach, but this kid screams, "Look at me," from the get-go. At just over a centimeter long, they're immediately able to hunt, stalking their prey before shooting out feeding tentacles to ensnare it. Even when fully grown, the flamboyant cuttlefish will only measure a few centimeters long, making it one of the smallest species of cuttlefish. Yet they are the only species known to eschew swimming in favor of strolling across the ocean floor. And while most cuttlefish would hide or dart away when threatened, the flamboyant stands its ground, pulsing its fins and flashing hypnotically. So how come, right from infancy, this minuscule mollusk talks the talk and walks the walk? Well, its colorful display advertises the fact it's highly poisonous, containing a toxin as lethal as the famously deadly blue-ringed octopus. So predators can forget about a taste test. These little chaps are a mouthful of death. For strutting its stuff rather than skedaddling, flamboyant cuttlefish babies are the third-place tough tot. Next up, they're an evolutionary oddity. But are these babies just freaks or a force to be reckoned with? On islands down at the bottom of the South Pacific lives a family of birds which in many ways evolved to be more akin to a mammal. Native only to New Zealand, Kiwis are flightless, build burrows rather than nests, have thick fur-like plumage, and produce extraordinarily well-developed young. Key to this is the bird's enormous egg. This mother-to-be is taking the load off her stretched belly in a pool of water. Her egg takes up around 20% of her body and is one of the largest of any bird in proportion to body size. In the final few days before she lays, the female must fast as the egg is so large it leaves no room for food. Once brown kiwi mothers have laid, that's the end of their involvement. Incubation duties are handed over to Dad. He must sit on top of the egg, keeping it warm for up to 80 days, more than double the norm for a bird his size. The egg also has around twice the normal proportion of yolk to sustain the chick as it grows. Well fed and taking an extended nap inside an egg the size of a small caravan, so far, the young Kiwi's story is less about tough tots than poor old parents. But sometimes, egg life isn't all it's cracked up to be. Dad's got to eat, and every 24 hours leaves the egg, which cools down to temperatures which would harm most bird embryos. Not the plucky Kiwi. Frostbite holds no fears for this little battler, and the chick evades damage from the cold. Breaking out of the egg is also a struggle. Most birds are equipped with an egg tooth to pip the shell, but not the Kiwi, which must kick and peck its way out. It's a scrap that can take the little bird up to 3 days. The chick's giant potbelly is an egg sac containing the remainder of the huge yolk, giving the youngster her own inbuilt school lunch for her first 10 days of life. So she's no longer a burden to her parents, which never have to feed her. And she's already so well developed, she'll soon venture outside and begin foraging for herself. Which is when life really gets tough. Kiwis evolved in an environment free from the threats of predatory mammals, making them easy prey for the entourage of deadly immigrants following in the wake of migrating humans. These efficient predators make for dim prospects for Kiwi chicks. 95% won't make it through their first 6 months, and one of the deadliest has got the scent of the young Kiwi. Stoats kill over 3,000 brown Kiwi chicks every year. But this baby bird isn't entirely defenseless. She has a powerful kick and sharp claws. And that makes for one tough tot. So, Kiwi chicks kung fu kick their way into the number 2 spot on the countdown. Now, get ready to meet the toughest tot on the block. It's been scary. It's been hairy. Cripes, it's even been hairless. In at number 10. Cute, covered in fluff and undeniably tough, it's polar bear cubs. Putting their considerable necks on the line in 9th place, it's baby giraffes. Rude, nude, double eaters of food, naked mole rats are in 8th spot. In 7th place, with massive daddy issues, it's elephant seal pups. In at 6 and going with the flow are torrent ducklings. Nobody's scrambled eggs. Glass tadpoles high dive into number 5. And there's nothing wet about water monitors. They're in at 4. In all the colours of the rainbow and deadly poisonous, flamboyant cuttlefish are in at 3rd place. Flightless, not feckless, hard-kicking Kiwi chicks, they're in 2nd spot. So finally, we've reached the top spot of the extreme animal countdown of tough tots. Native to Southern Asia, Hanuman Langurs can live in troops with over 100 members. This infant has been born into an all-female troop, presided over by a single dominant male, his dad. There's plenty of other youngsters for him to play with. But they'd better keep it down around Dad. He's not a big fan of his boisterous offspring and has nothing to do with raising them. This responsibility is shared by all the females of the group, who regularly pass younger infants between them. You might think with so many to care for them, the little monkey's early life would be a charmed existence. And some females are gentle and attentive nurses who do a good job looking after borrowed babies. But in truth, Hanuman Langur infants have a Jackal and Hyde upbringing. Remember that auntie who was always a bit rough when she brushed your hair, or held your hand way too tightly when you crossed the road? She's got nothing on this nasty nanny. Interestingly, it's the experienced mothers who take babysitting far too literally. There's no comeback for abusive females, and the perpetrators repeatedly mishandle infants. Although injury is rare. But this tiny tot appears to have been smothered, his body limp. His mother dashes over and attempts to revive him. He's alive. And a comforting drink of milk helps make it better. Wicked stepmothers make life tough. But there's an even greater threat to this young Hanuman's survival. Poor dental hygiene isn't all that's scary about this guy. He and his band of bachelors have come to pick a fight because Dad's got something they all want. And it's not his winning grin. The bachelors are challenging for control of his harem. If they succeed in chasing Dad off, the dominant bachelor will take his place and drive out all of the troop's juvenile males. Or worse, massacre all the infants. For the youngster's sake, Dad must be strong. He puts on a grand display of his physical prowess to demonstrate his dominance. The bachelors stand firm, but as Dad gets closer, they scarper. Go, Daddy! With the bachelors beating a retreat and the threat of violence gone, the troop can get back to the peace and tranquility of everyday family life. Murderous males and abusive females put baby Hanuman Langurs through the ringer. No wonder he looks depressed. But here's a reason to be cheerful. You're in at number 1 on the Extreme Animal Baby Toughest Tots Countdown. The langur's incredibly long tail has many uses, and not just for its owner. When baby's getting bored, there's nothing like having your own inbuilt distraction.